What's going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to ForTheFans with me and my co-host Ben. Today we're going to be taking a look at the penultimate group fixtures for Group E and F. Those guys met, and the final standings were confirmed. We'll also be taking a look at Group G and H, where Germany and USA meet in the big fixture of today, and we are joined by ZwebackHD, who shares both of those nationalities, and he's going to be giving us his take on that game. Let's get straight into this.
Here we are, folks. Day 15 is upon us. We are pre-recording, I'm not going to lie to you. Jack's here with me as always.
How are you doing, Ben? I'm good.
Good. And the reason we're pre-recording is because we're live with an American/German. It's only Zweback, better known as Ryan. Well, actually, no, you're not better known as Ryan, are you? That's not true. But how are you?
I'm doing great. I just want to say off the bat, thanks so much for having me on the show. Big fan. You guys do an amazing job. And I'm looking forward to a great little conversation here.
Excellent. Right. Well, we'll kick off with the games that happened today. As I say, we are pre-recording, so don't worry about it, folks. You're listening as normal. Let's just pretend. So we'll start off with Nigeria 2, Argentina 3. Messi put on a show for us all. We'll start with you, Jack. What did you make of Messi? Obviously, you got a little bit ill during the middle of this game.
I did. I missed the second half. I wasn't very well and I fell asleep. So I missed the second half, but I did see Messi's free kick right before half-time and the first goal, which woke me up. And he was impressive in the first half. He looked great, and we've been seeing a lot of Argentina kind of relying on him late on, and it was good to see him have that kind of immediate impact as it was within the first kind of 2 or 3 minutes.
Indeed. Ryan, what did you make of Messi then? He's obviously he's got a lot of pressure on him this tournament. So what have you made of his performance overall, and specifically today?
I think today he stepped up, and I think he showed the world the player that he is. You've got so many marquee players in this World Cup that are sort of doing what he's done. Robin, Muller, Robin Van Persie stepping up. I mean, obviously he didn't play in the last game, but the game before that. But he stepped up in the way that he was meant to for his country, and I guess that's the one thing that sort of stuck with him for his entire career. Yes, the club accolades are there and all that sort of stuff, but now he is primed to hopefully take Argentina as far as they can possibly go. If they could win it, that'd be great. But in relation to how he performed today, I thought he just stepped up. He was the man. I thought Nigeria were very good. Musa had an amazing game, but I don't think anything could have overshadowed the performance Messi had, and kind of just picked up from where he left off in the last game, got them the win versus Iran, and now they're sitting pretty. Yeah,
so you mentioned Musa. Messi obviously scored the first goal, Jake. You saw it, the volley. And then Musa scored an absolute beauty after 4 minutes. A minute later, cuts in on his right-hand side and bends one. What did you make of that finish? What did you make of Musa? Because obviously he's not a pin-up of this World Cup, unlike Messi. So what did you make of Musa's performance?
For me, I'm trying to think what Musa's first name is. I don't know what his first name is. I know he plays in Russia, and I know that he's done quite a good job there. I think he plays for CSKA. Might be wrong, but he's been a bit of a name for them up top, and it was kind of one of these things where you don't really get a chance to see much Russian football in England and across the world. It's not the league that gets stuck on every TV channel. And it was a really good finish within kind of the first 3 minutes. The way he cut in inside, the composure, it was almost like Messi's goal against Iran. Maybe not quite as spectacular, but the manner in which he did it, and the manner in which Nigeria immediately fought back like that, and of course they did again fight back in the second half. It was a really impressive display by them.
It was. So then Messi got a free kick on the stroke of half-time. Beautiful finish, a really, really nice finish. And then Musa scored again. Obviously, he scored the first one, went up again. It was the Musa-Messi show for long parts of the game. Drove through the middle, popped it in, a very nice goal. And then Argentina nicked it. Did you think they deserved it, Ryan?
You know what? I thought it was... I mean, it was one of those back-and-forth games where the energy was there. You had pretty much anything. It was reminiscent a bit of the Germany-Ghana game where it was very back and forth, and good on Nigeria for coming with the energy they did. So many teams, so many teams could have crumbled at that goal from Messi to put them up 1-0. A lot of teams would have crumbled, but Nigeria were resilient. Musa almost single-handedly, I mean, obviously he's got teammates, but almost single-handedly kept that Nigerian side in the squad. And I just wanted to echo Jack's sentiment on the Russian league. We don't hear much about it. The only thing, anytime I hear about the Russian league, it's usually FIFA related, the video game. Yeah. So that kind of says all we need to say about that. I don't think I've ever seen a match, but it's I don't know. Maybe they get a bit of exposure with Musa playing at such a high level.
Indeed. So obviously, then, as I mentioned, Argentina win the game overall. Their header comes in from Garay after a corner. Rojo's at the back post, slides it in. Well, knocks it in. Accidentally puts it in.
It was a weird
doesn't
one.
do it on purpose. It was a weird one. Thanks.
Yeah.
And that sees them top the group. They've won all 3 games, somewhat convincingly, somewhat unconvincingly. Make of that what you will. Messi's doing what you would expect Messi to do. He's dragged them through it, you could argue. He scored 4 of their 5 goals, or 4 of their 6 goals or something. So he's obviously the main player for that team, as you'd expect. Moving on to the next game in the group, Bosnia finally did something, Jack.
I know, I was loving this. The fact that Dzeko's in my fantasy football team, yesterday I was moaning, he's not done anything for me. And he comes up with a goal and an assist. I was just like, why weren't you doing this sooner, mate? But no, it was a result that was kind of expected, but given the nature in which both Bosnia and Iran have performed in kind of the game so far this World Cup, it was one of these ones where you almost felt like Iran were just going to go and kind of score and win the game. Of course, Bosnia got off to a flyer. Dzeko, it was a really nicely placed finish, and it put them off on the right foot.
Yeah, the goal was a little bit like Neymar's. Do you remember the Neymar goal he scored early in the tournament, sort of from the outside of the box? He doesn't like scuff it in, but he doesn't hit it completely cleanly, and the keeper's just left stranded.
Yeah, it did. It did look awfully similar to that one.
Yeah. So obviously Iran, they get a consolation, but Bosnia always really in control. What have you made of Bosnia then, Ryan? Because they were quite hotly tipped before the tournament. You look at Payak, you look at Dzeko, you expected them a little bit more from them, and they're not going through. So, don't know, how have you rated their performance?
You know what? I think they caught on a bit late. It's almost as if, and I'm not sure if this is the case, it's almost as if they showed up a bit unprepared. Like, they sort of peaked today in today's game, but maybe if they were in today's form for the previous 2 games, maybe we'd be looking at a different layout for the group. But Dzeko, there's no argument about it. I think he had the most goals, or Bosnia had like the 2nd or 3rd most goals in qualifications or something like that. So they had the team that was able to advance in the group. And to be fair, the game versus Nigeria, that offsides call versus Dzeko, I mean, that could have been a goal. Should it have been a goal? Who knows? They would have been up 1-0, but it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously, it's nice to see Nigeria go through with all that's going on in Nigeria right now.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see them go through. But Bosnia, yeah, certainly a disappointing performance from them, given that they were highly touted as a team to advance alongside Argentina.
Just going on to the thing about them being unorganised, I think that really showed in the goal that they conceded against Iran today. I feel like Bosnia at the back have looked a little bit disjointed from set pieces. They've looked a little bit edgy. And Iran's goal today kind of came from kind of a situation where the ball comes into the box from a corner, gets cleared, they all kind of semi-push up, and then there's like 1 or 2 players who just don't bother, and there's just this inability to kind of pick up their men, and then Iran really capitalised. No energy from them chasing backwards, and I kind of feel like that lack of energy that Bosnia had, combined with just they didn't seem prepared, as you said. They just didn't look like they quite knew what their game plan was for a lot of the games, has ultimately cost them, and I think a lot of people would have expected them to get out of this group, really.
It's interesting that the 2 most experienced side in the group, Argentina and Nigeria, have gone through, and obviously Bosnia's first World Cup. It's an interesting point that you said they looked unprepared, because I've not really thought of it that way, but now you've mentioned it, I can see to that way of thinking. My reasoning behind not thinking that was that Bosnia have such they're not a young crop of players, but they're quite good European players. They're known by quite a lot of people. As I mentioned, they are like an underrated team coming into this World Cup, and they just looked a little bit shell-shocked by the pressure cooker of a World Cup. And it just seemed to me like it was their first tournament, and they knew it was, and it was in Brazil, and it all happened a bit quickly. And by the time they started to get their act together, it was out of sight.
Yeah.
So I'm disappointed with Bosnia, because I thought they'd be a lot better, but maybe in 4 years' time we'll see them, or maybe at the Euros even we'll see them, and they'll be a much better team.
I kind of feel like the talking point from this group, although Argentina have done really well, every win they got was by 1 goal. Yeah. And that might be an issue for them going forward. They've not convinced me. I expect them with this group, with the teams that they were playing against, you don't expect them to win every game by the margin of 1 goal, really. And I think that is down to just the way that they've kind of set up. I don't feel like their system is quite kind of prepared, and I feel as if going up against the bigger teams, it's going to be intriguing kind of to see, does it kind of pay off in a way that what they've been doing now is going to benefit them and they're going to play better as a result against the bigger teams? Or is the fact that they performed this badly actually because they're not ready and the bigger teams are really going to capitalise on that?
Yeah. So you talk about how they're doing against the bigger teams. We'll move on to the team they will face, I believe, in the next round of the tournament, which will be Switzerland, who eventually qualified. They played Honduras today. Shaqiri having the game of his life with a hat-trick. What have you made of Switzerland overall, Ryan? Because they had a slow start. Well, they had a decent start to the tournament, and then France put them to the sword, and then they've come back. Shaqiri's got a hat-trick, and everything seems rosy again.
Well, I think it was, I'm not sure at what point during the game, but they made that adjustment where they started playing Shaqiri up the middle, and that seemed to really be the ticket for their success. I mean, Switzerland, you're talking about a team, and I don't know exactly how the index works, but weren't they ranked like 5th or 6th in the world going into the tournament?
Yeah, they were up there.
Not sure exactly how I'm not sure how that can translate into an actual performance, how it actually reflects what the team's capable of versus another side. But certainly Argentina should be careful not to overlook the potency of the Swiss attack as well. Surprisingly, their defense, they're an all-around solid team is kind of what I've taken away from this tournament. There's times when they show up, there's times when they're sleeping a bit, but overall, I was impressed with Switzerland's performance, and to go out with a 3-0 victory over Honduras, I don't think there's a team leaving the group that's more confident in what they should be able to achieve at the knockout stage.
Yeah, they certainly finished strongly. Jack, what have you made of the Swiss?
They impressed me in their first game. They got that late winner. In fact, it was like a 93rd minute winner against Ecuador. And there was kind of, I don't know, a few doubts in my mind about that result. And then they got spanked by France. And whilst that wasn't a shock, I kind of felt like if Switzerland had to do well, I was looking at that game as the game that they show what they're made of. And so going into this Honduras game, whilst they were in a fairly good position, there were a few question marks I had over their team. And today what they showed was in a game which they didn't dominate by any means. I think Honduras had 8 or 9 corners to Switzerland's 1. Honduras had a lot more possession, completed more passes.
The stats are in, folks. The stats are in.
But for me, Switzerland showed that they can counter. And I actually think that could be a massive, massive threat to Argentina. If Shaqiri is on form, if he's banging them in and being as clinical as he was, I think he had like a 92% pass completion in the game today. Like, if he can play like that and spit ahead that counter-attack, I'd be very scared. And I thought it was interesting to see him deployed in a slightly more central role today as well.
I hope that Switzerland do something. They're much like Bosnia, actually. They're a team that I want. Like, you have quite high expectations of. You know a few of their players. You know they've got potential. I worry because obviously they kind of choked against France. They finally faced a big team in that group and just fell apart within the first hour, and that game was over within an hour. And I worry the same thing might happen against Argentina. You look across at that Argentina lineup, and however good you are, you can't ignore Mascherano, Aguero, Messi, Higuain. You can't, like, I don't want that to get into the heads of the Swiss players, because I worry that's what happened against France. They saw Benzema, they saw Pogba, they saw Lloris. They thought, this is going to be really difficult. And obviously they've faced Honduras thinking, we can beat these. This is going to be easy. And as you've seen, Shaqiri is playing with confidence right now. And if you continue that into the next round, then I think it's a bit early to call a shock. But we've seen it in this tournament. Like, it's more than likely. Not more than likely, it's more than possible. So we'll look forward to that one. In the other game, what a dull affair. And I hate to admit this, folks. I know I usually don't force 0-0s out of teams, but it was Ecuador 0, France 0. Ryan, make it sound better than it was.
I wish I could make it. I wish I could say something now that would. It's tough to find a talking point other than France. They underwhelmed the keeper for Ecuador. I don't think you can say enough about him. He came up with a couple very, very clutch saves, but Benzema didn't look like he was. He certainly didn't look like the Benzema versus Switzerland. Giroud and Benzema seemed like they were hooking up on a couple opportunities, and Pogba looked okay, but it just seemed like there was something missing. And I don't think, again, we're going back to the Switzerland-Honduras topic of confidence. I'm not sure. I'm sure France is. They're happy to be number one. They're happy to go out the group. They've by and large they've had consistent and impressive performances in this group. But I don't think this is the note they wanted to leave out on. I think they might have wanted to get the win for that just a little extra boost of confidence. Don't know how much that really plays into a team advancing in the knockout stage. I think you're just happy to get out, but I think they would have, they were certainly looking for the win. As opposed to the draw.
Me and Jack have been talking about France quite a lot. We've been really impressed by them, and today I feel incredibly underwhelmed, Jack. I don't know about you.
Especially against 10 men. I think that's the real big thing to mention. For me, they should have done a lot better. Ecuador were very, very, very wasteful in possession. I'm actually looking at some of the stats now, and I can't quite believe the wastefulness. But as you said, France, the team who you'd really go, yes, these are the guys who are going to do well. They kept being presented with possession of the keeper for Ecuador's 17 passes, 3 were successful, which is terrible. But even when they were just being gifted the ball, they weren't able to break down 10 men for pretty much the entire of the second half. And France are a team who, after the last game, when we saw them win 5-2, 5-2, I really have to question their consistency. And in a World Cup, especially going into the knockout stage, the one thing you don't want to kind of have a question mark over is a team's ability to turn up on a day and get a result. Because in the knockout stage, you only get that one chance. And we
should mention, sorry, I don't want to, just because you mentioned the consistency there, we should mention that Kabay didn't play, there was no Valbuena today, Giroud obviously didn't start. France made changes. So as much as they didn't perform as we know they can, they weren't at arguably full strength. Deschamps didn't have the team he wanted to play, and he arguably rested players for the next round.
So you look at their team, really, the only one I'd say you could argue shouldn't be there is Schneiderlin. For me, a front three of Benzema, Sissoko, who of course grabbed a goal last game, and Griezmann is a very good attack force. And that, I know he's rotated a few players there and some not through choice, but to me that's not really an excuse for not getting a result against a team that, let's face it, England didn't lose to.
No. Well, we'll look at there was really only one talking point, and it was the Valencia red card. I think it was a red. You, Jack, don't think it was?
Well, no. I think it was dangerous play, and he does leave the ground with 2 feet, and I can see why the ref's given it for that dangerous play. But by the same token, there's other games where you'd maybe see a yellow for it, and he has. Right. I know he's thrown it for kind of really thrown himself in there, but to me, he gets a foot on the ball, and it really depends on which angle you look at as to kind of how bad per se it looks.
Okay, well, let's assume I've said yes, you've said no, so it lies to one man now. Was it red or not, Ryan? I
love the pressure. You know what? I think I'd have to agree with Jack on this one. I think, it was a red. It was dangerous play.
Wait, that's me. You're backing me there.
No.
Oh, am I?
You said.
Well, no. I'm just going over. As a matter of fact, it was red, but I could easily see a scenario in another game where, in another match, where it could be yellow. It didn't seem there was a whole lot of malice behind what he did. It was dangerous. It was not the right time to pull off that sort of approach, but. It looked bad, but again, what Jack said, I could easily see that being a yellow in a different circumstance.
Yeah, well, actually, Jack, you said before we recorded, you said it was just careless, and I agree. It looks like he's out of control. He's running with it, and then all of a sudden, it's oh no, I've not got it. I best try and win it back. Oh, I've stood on someone's leg.
I don't feel like he's gone out there and thought, right, I'm going to snap someone's legs in the second half, because at that moment in time, Ecuador is still in the game. I mean, they were still in it right at the end.
The thing is, a lot of red cards aren't a player thinking, I'm just going to snap that guy. It's just a stupid, ill-timed decision, which, in my opinion, is a red card. It's just unlucky, but by the same token, that doesn't make it less reckless or less careless.
It was certainly reckless.
Yeah, it was just, to me, it's... he's not good. It's not ended the career of the player he's done it to.
No,
but it could have done if it's a little bit different. If there's a different twist on the boot or his legs in a slightly different position, it could be a really dangerous, horrible tackle. And I think that's why he's gone. I don't think, as you mentioned, sometimes it's not looked at as in depth by the officials. To me, it feels like the refs had help as well because he took a little bit of time.
Yeah, it looked like the linesman might have just said something.
So maybe
it looked like it could have been the decision could have been swayed a little bit there.
Yeah,
there was a bit of time that passed.
Maybe his angle was different, and he sees it a different way, and he's like, "Well, it's."
He didn't complain, did he? Either that was the other thing. Valencia, he didn't throw up his arms. He didn't, and Valencia is the kind of player who does throw up a protest when he thinks he's right. I'm sorry, he does. I mean, speaking of fouls in that group, my favourite stat for today was the fact that Honduras actually committed the same amount of fouls as Switzerland. So as much as we blast Honduras as a fouling team on this podcast. Switzerland, you've gone down in my estimations.
To the people of Honduras, I'd like to apologise now, I guess, if you are listening, which I
We were wrong.
doubt you are. Anyway, so Ecuador are out. France top the group. Probably as expected. I think before the tournament, people would have thought this was probably how it would line up.
I think we got that one right, that group, in our pre-shows.
It's the only one so far. Is it actually the only one so far? I bet it is.
Yeah, it probably is now I look through them.
Yeah.
Mexico and Brazil, I think I got right, and you back Croatia.
All right, let's not. All right, leave it. The Twitter question, Jack. It's onto the Twitter question. We've done our review of the games today, so onto the Twitter question. I'll let you take control for a change.
Excellent. So I did ask this question.
Well, before you carry on, Ryan, we're about to come to you with this question.
Okay.
To have an answer ready.
Right. So the Twitter question of the day was: with the England football team returning home and each been given an Xbox One with their name on, as kind of a welcome back gift. I'm not sure why they've been given that. We wanted to know from you guys on Twitter, what would you give them as a present to welcome them in your own special way?
All right. Well, Ryan, have you got an answer, or would you like us to come to you at the end?
You know what? Yeah, I got an answer. I think I have one.
Yes.
I would, I sort of mentioned before, I interact with a lot of people from England, and it's not a whole, I would say pessimism. All right, so pessimism discussing the English national team seems to be a commonality across all discussions I have with anyone when we're talking World Cup, major tournaments, English national team. I would personally put together a highlight of all of England's accomplishments throughout every World Cup.
Oh, it'd be a short highlight. It'd be a short highlight.
No, it would be amazing. It would have David Beckham's goal versus Greece that put him through. I don't even know what that game meant, but I just remember that happened.
Qualifying. That meant qualifying for the World Cup.
It would be like black and white. Like, even if it wasn't color, I'd make it black and white so it looked like really ancient and amazing. Yeah. I don't know. I do like a sick highlight. Just, there's other countries that are less fortunate than the English when it comes to success in football. So I would just remind the players with an amazing DVD produced by yours truly, just showcasing the many.
Well, if you're volunteering, this sounds like a great idea.
It's ironic that you say that, and immediately I'm thinking it won't work. It will work.
I was going to suggest having Susan Boyle sing in the background, but she's Scottish, so that doesn't work, does it?
Oh, no.
I'll give you my answer at the end, Jack, but you can read out on Twitter.
So we had Timothy, who said, I'd give them all MLS contracts so they can make it further in Russia. So apparently, if we step around the kind of opposition, maybe build up some confidence. Tom said a black eye. I'm not sure if that's every single player as they come down like the stairs of the plane. He's going to give them a conch. Someone suggested a bill. Well, this was Brat. A bill for plane tickets, the hotel rooms, and all the other travel expenses. I don't know if this is just for them or for all the fans. I feel like that would be more.
Fans, surely.
This would be more appropriate, wouldn't it?
It's for the fans. Thank you.
Genius.
Carry on.
Someone said an hour-long interview with Adrian Charles.
Oh, no one wants that. Nobody wants that.
That might be the worst. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. And I'd rather have Ryan's montage than that. So
that was by Branflakes. And then one more. Someone suggested that they each get a copy of Michael Owen's Skills Footballer DVD, How to Become a Complete Footballer. Actually, it's a book, but it's as seen on TV. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, I saw it on TV. Is he wearing grey?
I don't know. It's £1.50 used. I feel like we should get this book as a prize.
Oh, wait, that's not a joke. Does that actually exist?
Yeah, Michael Owen Soccer Skills, How to Become the Complete Footballer paperback.
I watched it when I was younger. It was filmed at the Britannia Stadium, Stokes Ground, and he basically had loads of 9 to 12-year-olds, and he was teaching them football. And really, what it was Michael Owen showing off how good he was at finishing for about 6 episodes. But it was great. I loved it. I loved Michael Owen.
See, this is the book of that. I want to know: did the book come first, or did the TV show come first?
Just to prove how much of a fan I was, there was one player in particular called Michael who was particularly good. Anyway. Just if you watched it, you'll know exactly what I was talking about. If you didn't watch it, I'm so sorry that I've carried on with this. I would give them a cuddle, just because it looks like they need it. Not Rooney, though. I wouldn't let Rooney get involved in the cuddle, obviously.
Well, I was about to say, to the guy that said he wants to give them a black eye, I'd like to see that particular fan try that on Wayne Rooney.
maybe I come in after the black eye. I allow all these things to happen to them. And I'm just like, it's all right, guys, come on, bring it in.
See, I think what I do is I'd get Luis Suarez to sit at the bottom and give them each a bite. To be like, instead of getting your ticket, stamped or whatever on the plane, you've got Luis Suarez biting them on the arm.
Oh, it's like when you go to a theme park.
It's like when you go into the nightclub and you've got a stamp on your arm, except it's a Luis Suarez bite.
I think when you go to a theme park, and if you want to go back into the theme park, you can if you go and get your lunch from the car, then you come back and you've got to be stamped to like prove you've already been in once. But instead, they've got a Luis Suarez bite. So if England want to get into the World Cup again, I'm suggesting they need a Luis Suarez bite to do so. I don't know what we've done.
This is a great idea.
And then I'm sitting in the main conference room with the DVD ready to play, and I'm like, where is everyone?
Right, so
why has no one shown up to watch the screening of my DVD?
And then
a lot of work into this.
What have we got bites for?
They each get a free book of Michael Owen's skills too. And
they'll all come in holding the book with black eyes, bites on their hand after being coddled, and then the montage comes at them. Oh my!
Do you want to know what's better than getting them the book of Michael Owen? If he did an audio book version for them.
Maybe he could take a training session.
Oh, wait. So that's a thing. Like So I've never heard I don't think I've heard an English broadcast, but he's horrible at commentary, isn't he?
Yes.
No, I think he's great.
He's very boring.
If you're looking to fall asleep that evening, he's perfect. Like he's fantastic for that. But he's a fan of the cliche. Like he'll say things like, "When he's put it in the onion bag." That was a classic on the show that he did as well. I love that show. I'm going to watch it back later on YouTube. It was so good. Jack, I'm going to send you some clips of it later.
Excellent. I'll tweet them out on the ForTheFans Twitter if you're not already.
See, you know what?
Do it.
Maybe I can appreciate him because I don't listen to I listen to the American broadcasts and I watch some Bundesliga as well. So maybe I'd be able to appreciate some of the onions in the bags that you're referring to or something like that. I don't know.
You have to release the Kraken guy, don't you?
Oh, you do. Right. Anyway,
we're getting bogged down here in Michael Owen, aren't we?
This game's today, technically tomorrow, somewhat today. If you're listening to this on today. Anyway, so today's game, South Korea are playing Belgium. We've mentioned Belgium before. They're a bit like France, really. They've gone about a bit more like Argentina. They've gone about their games, not really been impressive, but they've got the job done. So all we're going to do really is ask for predictions, because there's one game today which I really want to talk about. So let's whiz through these, Jack. First of all, what are your predictions? Looks like Lukaku won't be starting because Origi's done fantastically as he's come in.
He has.
So what do you think? South Korea, what's the score going to be?
I think that Hong Myung-bo's guys are going to be going home without a win. I'm sorry, South Korea. You're going to lose 4-1. 4-1.
You're just a bit of Japan fan, that's all it is.
Wow, 4-1, wow.
What do you think, Ryan? South Korea versus Belgium?
You know what? It's Belgium. They've not really been impressive, but I think this is the game where they kind of get it together and show that, you know, we've got star power, but we're also able to win games when it matters the most. And I'm thinking 3-0. That's what I'm predicting. I'm predicting 3-0. I think Belgium gels. They go into the next round with a lot of confidence, and unfortunately, South Korea is not going to be able to pull off one of these surprise victories. I just don't see it happening in this game.
I agree. I think. What did you say, Jack? 4-1.
I said 4-1.
I don't think South Korea will score. I'll go 4-0.
Brutal.
Now for the Russia-Algeria game, if you refer to your notes, gentlemen, I've written the BBC haven't provided me with a match preview. What can I do? So I haven't got any information on this because I don't want to say I steal what the BBC put, but they are incredibly useful when it comes to match previews. So we'll just do score, shall we, Jack?
I thought we could discuss Moscow as a holiday destination.
Work off the Kremlin report. Yeah, let's work off the Kremlin report. You guys don't have that?
Well, not to hand.
1 sec, I have it printed off somewhere.
No.
Let me get the iPad out. Hang on. We'll get this prepared.
Excellent.
No, I haven't got anything written down. Obviously, Russia and Algeria are kind of fighting for that spot to qualify. Am I right? I'm right, aren't I?
It's a situation whereby if Russia have to win to stand a chance at qualification. If Algeria win, they're guaranteed it, and if Belgium were to lose and Algeria win, Belgium would actually slip down to second in the group. Realistically, if Korea can beat Belgium and by more goals than Russia can beat Algeria, Korea is still in it. But I just don't see that. So, basically, Russia have to win. It's as simple as that.
Right. Well, let's get some score predictions in. Ryan, we'll start with you.
I'm going to say 2-1. I'm going to say 2-1 Algeria.
2-1 Algeria. Jack?
I've not predicted this scoreline. Oh, I've just knocked my mic. Oh, we saved it. That was a close shave. 0-0. I'm going with a thriller. A thriller. It's going to be a great 0-0 as well.
All right, I think it'll be 1-1 because I'm not a pessimist, like Jack. So
I'm not
1-1.
A pessimist, I'm a realist.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks for letting us all know. Portugal are playing Ghana now. Luckily, the BBC got their act together for this one, and there's actual notes. So Portugal, it says welcome Mac Pepe. I'm not sure it'll be with open arms, and even if it is, he might somehow stick them back together.
He'll headbutt them as a sign of kind of respect.
Yeah. Contral's out. Almeida and Postiga, there's concerns over those two. Whereas with Ghana, Montari suspended after picking up 2 bookings. I remember Danny Murphy not being too pleased with that.
Montari's 2 fouls, like, they were so stupid and petty.
Yeah. Well, anyway, what have you made of... Oh, this is the group that you've been focusing on more than any other, I'm sure, Ryan. So what have you made of these 2?
You know what? I think Ghana are so dangerous.
Ooh.
I think they're so dangerous. I think the stat with them that pops out to me is second most, as of yesterday. I don't know how today's games reflect that, but I believe 19.5 shots per game, which is second most, only behind, I believe, France. But Portugal, I believe, is third or fourth with 17 or something along those lines. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. I think it's one Ghana comes away with. They seem, it's strange to say this, but they seem the more complete team. Portugal just seems so out of sorts. Pepe, like you said earlier, are they going to welcome him back with open arms? I mean, you can make a case that he cost them the tournament. But I've just been so impressed with Ghana, especially the way they played versus Germany, not giving up, the speed, the chemistry. They seem to have it all. I think they're going to make it very difficult. They might be the one they might be the reason that America doesn't advance. I know that's kind of like a strange thing to say, but
you said it.
I think if Germany wins 1-0 versus the U.S. and Ghana wins 1-0 versus Portugal, I think that puts Ghana through. Don't quote me on that. I think
there has to be slightly more. I don't know what it goes to if the goal differences are tied, and I don't have the goals for and against, but I'd assume it goes to head-to-head.
I'm not sure, but if it's all the same, then I think it goes to lots. I'm not sure head-to-head's come into it, but I could be wrong.
Isn't it? It's head-to-head, and then it's goals scored in the group or something. I don't know.
We discussed this World Cup. What happens if every team was to draw? Like, everything's the same.
You said, I remember. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because you were like, "Well, it could happen." Has it happened?
There was a situation in the England group where it could have...
No, you're an idiot. Right.
But no, if it happened, what I think we should do is we should get 2 pitches and we should make a plus or addition or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what Americans call the plus sign.
But we call it plus. That's one thing we can agree on.
Great.
That's one thing I'll happily agree on.
I hate to...
We don't call everything the same thing, but plus, we say plus.
Excellent.
I hate to butt in here. What do you mean? What do Americans call the plus sign?
Well, they call it math, don't they? So I don't know. Yeah. They might call it plus, or I don't know.
Right, Jack, give me a
but anyway,
prediction.
what I'm thinking here is if everyone draws, do we that up 2 pitches that cut through each other and have 4 goals and go next goal wins?
What, like Hungry Hippo?
Yes.
I think cage match. I think cage fight. Get both teams in a cage. Whichever one gets out alive.
I don't want to stereotype Ryan, but that is a very American answer.
Isn't it so American? And the truth of the matter is, I'm not even a wrestling fan. I've never seen one match, but that's the first thing I think about. Just a cage match.
I came out with Hungry Hippos, and you came out with Fight.
See, what I do is I'd get them on a NASCAR track and force them to do 400 laps, a relay between the entire football team, and the managers have to do a lap too.
Pepe had got out of his car and just nut someone. Anyway,
I was thinking actually run it
Can't we get some score predictions?
No, right, okay. This is a very for the fans discussion, isn't it? Right. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, and it's going to be 1-1, and it's going to mean that the USA will lose but still go through.
Excellent, Ryan.
Oh wow! You know what? I'm going to say 3-2 Ghana.
Oh, he's going with them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a highly energetic game. A lot of back and forth. They're going to go all out. They need to score goals. Both sides need goals, and I think it ends 3-2. But okay. I've been wrong before.
I will go 4-4.
Blimey!
Wow.
We haven't had a big scoring draw.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't had a big scoring draw yet. And as you point out, they both need to score. So it could be an absolute... I could see a team going 4-1 up, and then they nearly complete the fight back to win, but it just ends a draw. And as you mentioned, I think USA will probably go through even though they might lose. Let's find out what we think. Now, obviously, we have Ryan on, who is the perfect person to have on for this show. Ryan, explain why you're the perfect person.
Well, first off, for starters, I don't know if I'm the perfect person.
You are.
I've got some qualification here. So the team that I support is the German national team. And by the way I'm talking right now, you'd think to yourself, why are you supporting the national team? You sound like an American. And I am.
I thought you were Canadian.
I grew up in Germany. Yeah.
Don't start that. Do not start that. Blimey.
So my dad's German, my mother's American. I grew up there. I moved here when I was 7 years old, and I was, as we were talking before, one of my first memories was that I'm going to make this short and sweet. One of my first memories, 1990 World Cup, West Germany versus Argentina. I remember the place going crazy. I was 5 years old, and that hooked me on. And my dad raised me to support the German national team, and that's kind of a link that we've always shared together. And it's been interesting, right? So growing up in America and then supporting the German national team is there's a bit of a dichotomy, right? Because most of your friends are now. I'm from Miami, so it kind of worked out well. I've got a lot of friends that from South America. They support Colombia. I've got some friends from France, so it's not it's not Midwest America. You've got an eclectic group of fans here representing various nations in the world. But so I've been following the German national team since really following it, I guess, since the '94 World Cup, and sort of have seen the progression of the game here in the U.S. and it's just this World Cup it's been so interesting to see the support more than ever. I mean, it happens every time a major tournament arises in the U.S. and there's something international at stake. Everyone rallies. They might forget about football or soccer, as we would call it here, for a duration of time. But once the World Cup hits and once it looks like America, there's a chance for them to really show up on the world stage and do something. The support is fervent. The support is there in mass. But this game coming up, Germany versus USA, it's a bit it's got me split with my brother. He supports the US. He was born 6 years after myself, and so he grew up in the U.S. So he's a U.S. supporter. I'm a Germany supporter. We both wear our kits, but we watch we celebrate when both teams score because we have that sort of relationship. But anyway, this game coming up, I mean, it couldn't be there couldn't be more anticipation behind it. I mean, there's so many talking points. Jurgen Klinsmann and Jogi Löw being friends. Löw being the assistant manager to Klinsmann when he took over in 2004 for the Euros. And then and then sticking with it, and then Jogi Löw taking over in 2010, and really it's a situation where Germany is expected to go the entire way. Yeah. And as it relates to this match specifically, there's a lot of talk about them cooperating, and let's draw because that's the safe way to play. But I think it's a great news item. But in reality, I don't think that's. I think that's what it is. It's a great news item. So these are competitors that are going out to play. I don't think there's any way to play less than 100%.
Yeah. So how do you? Jack, I will come to you, but really you're.
That's fine. I'm a spectator.
So how do you actually see it going? Like, let's go over all of this because you are, as I've said before, you are the perfect person to ask these questions to. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you rate America's performance so far in the World Cup? What you expected, or better than you expected?
Way better than I think that everyone that you would ask here in the States, whether they know football or they know they've been impressive in every game. That late goal with 45 seconds left to allow that was for as many substitutions and as many key things as Klinsmann has done right, he's nailed everything. Every sub that he's brought on has made an impact. Every decision, leaving Donovan out, that's behind us. I mean It was only 2-3 weeks ago when Klinsmann was almost driven out of the States because I say that jokingly, but he was like public enemy number one because Donovan did.
Was it a really big deal?
Huge deal.
Okay.
Huge deal. It was, and there wasn't really anything else in sports going on. We had the NBA Finals. I'm not sure if that coincided with it, but that was like the main thing. No one knows who. Most Americans don't know who Jurgen Klinsmann is. They see him come on the TV. He's got an accent. Most people here in the United States probably wouldn't be able to recognize that it's a German accent. But a guy with a foreign sounding accent coaching the U.S. national team, they think sabotage. I know it sounds weird, but that's the first thing that they think about. This guy is up to something. How are we in the same group? There's something going on here. But it's been. Wait, what was your original question? I just got lost.
It's fine.
My question was.
I just got lost in my own thought.
Have they reached expectation, or are they passing?
They've exceeded expectations.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you talk about Klinsmann, and there was an ESPN broadcaster. I don't know. I forget what his name is. Everyone was counting them out.
Yeah.
Forget the World Cup.
We were.
They're not
Jack was, to be fair.
They're not getting out of the group stage. That's what the sentiment was. We're not even getting out of the group stage. Are you kidding me? Here we see a team in Portugal. Ronaldo's the most visible player in the world. People thought Germany and Portugal were going through because those are the easy answers. And to be fair, a lot of people have pegged them to advance because they've got solid teams. The U.S. was not meant to have a chance in this competition, so they have far exceeded expectations. This is if it ended today, it would be a success for the U.S.
As Englishmen, me and Jack dream for this situation. Like we would love to be in with a chance. They're like going to the last game.
The dream.
Oh, imagine that.
I think for me, the Donovan exclusion. I watch a little bit of MLS. It didn't seem like that big of a surprise to me. Like in the same way that I wouldn't have been surprised if Rooney was dropped from England, just because he was very sluggish. This year, it looked like he'd lost a yard of pace, and I kind of feel like what Klinsmann's done has actually benefited the team a lot. I think there was definitely an over-reliance in the past, perhaps, on the US, relying on Donovan really to be the engine in the team, the kind of player who galvanised the players around him. And I feel as if in him stepping down, obviously Dempsey has really upped his game in more recent years, kind of towards the end of his career. He wasn't an early bloomer per se. And I think that actually the exclusion of Donovan has actually helped the USA a lot. And they haven't looked like they've missed anything in that area of the field either.
No, it's a very good point. So we move on to Germany. Obviously, the perfect person's here. So we'll come to you, Ryan. Were they disappointing in the last game they played against Ghana? They were for me, so were they for you?
You know what, early on in the game, well, first off, I think the most notable, the guys that were slacking, Lam didn't look good early. He didn't look fresh. Khedira looked horrible early on, and you could tell once Schweinsteiger was brought on that he was an instant infusion of energy and creativity. Whereas Khedira's maybe the more consistent, reliable play. And I just want to be clear, he didn't look that when he started playing the game. Whether or not he would have looked good later, we won't know because Schweinsteiger was brought on. But Khedira didn't look good. There just seemed to be something missing. Muller was his aggressive self, and I have to say Muller's probably my favorite player in this tournament. It's not often you have a guy. His aggressiveness is, I think, he completes. He's the missing piece of the German national team. He's got an aggressiveness that they haven't had in quite some time, and he was there in the game versus Ghana. But at the end of the day, you know, I think it comes down to, I think the toughest choice he's going to have now, Yogi Löw is going to have coming off that game, is whether or not to start Miro Klose.
Yeah. Well,
because that's what they've had success with for the past few World Cups. But now they're trying something new. They're trying something younger. But certainly going back to the Ghana-Germany game, certainly that was not the result they were looking for. They were looking for a win. Which going into this next game, I think they're definitely gonna have a chip on their shoulder. They're gonna want to leave the group stage on a high note. I don't think they're gonna settle for a draw. But wasn't incredibly impressed with them. I don't know if this new implementation Yogi Löw is trying out with essentially the four center backs is gonna work out. I think they need to give Durham a chance. Plays for Dortmund. People forget that he has, I believe, about 5 games worth of experiences in the Champions League. So he's a young player. I believe he's only 22 or 23. But I think he's a guy. I think he's a guy to look out for. Be interesting to see if he gets some playing time in this game. And then Philipp Lahm, I don't know. Does it because it works at Bayern? Lahm playing midfield, does it necessarily mean it works for the national team? I'd like to see him back at his old position. And you know, I'm a traditionalist, though. I've seen Germany have a ton of success. Not make it all the way though, with the combination of Klose up front, got Lahm at right back, traditional, but he's trying something new out, and it's gutsy. So we'll see if it pays off.
I can appreciate that, considering I've got Roy in charge. So I'm enjoying it. We'll come to scores, and we'll start with you, Jack. We'll leave the headline to the end. So go on. What are you thinking, Jack?
I'm thinking a very high-scoring game.
Oh, okay.
USA have conceded 12 goals in their last 4 games against Germany. The last 4 fixtures in this game have produced 4.8 goals on average.
Wow. The stats are
I know,
real.
exactly.
Wow.
Germany have scored in 19 of their 20 last World Cup games. The USA have conceded in the last 15 World Cup games against European oppositions.
Are these off memory?
I'm going with 4-2 Germany. I'm thinking that the stats don't lie, and there's going to be plenty of goals.
4-2 Germany. But you think the US will still make it through?
I think they'll make it through by virtue of the other 2 teams drawing in the other game.
I think it will be... Actually, I hate to be... I really want the USA to be really, really good, and because I want America involved in our sport. Sorry to categorize it as our sport, but it's very much like we're obsessed with it in England. So I do consider it a massive thing here, and I want America to feel the same about it. I want it to be a massive deal in America, because I think if you get America on board with things, they just take off, and I would love that to happen. So despite all that, I think Germany will walk it 3-0. Like, I just don't see the US. I just don't think they'll have enough to cope with a very annoyed Germany team after that Ghana game. So here we go, Ryan. The pressure's on.
I'm saying 2-0, and I kind of want to say what you said about the USA. If they end up winning, that would be, or if they end up even drawing and going through, that would be such a result for the future of football, aka soccer here in the States. So certainly, I'd love to see them go through. That'd be the best of both worlds for me, for both of them to go through. I think a draw is a possibility if they show up on their best day. If the U.S. are able to show up on their best day, if Tim Howard is that brick wall that he showed to be on the international stage, if Dempsey is able to stay in form, I think Altidore has been ruled out. If one of you guys want to correct me, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think if USA bring it at the top level, I think it's possible for a draw, but the likelihood of that happening, I see 2-0 to Germany. Okay. That's just the way I see it.
So I think they'll win.
I think the big thing for the US here is they're going to have to score. And I know that sounds really bizarre, but you look at the fact that USA were able to beat Ghana, and Ghana were able to get a draw against Germany. And I kind of feel like, obviously, football doesn't work in an exact math whereby, the USA are going to beat Germany because they beat Ghana kind of thing. But I do feel like it depends on which German team turns up and if the USA are able to capitalise on chances. Because I can actually see the USA maybe not performing amazingly, but they might take the one or two chances that come their way, and kind of that's the logic behind the 4-2.
It's interesting you think that, because I actually think that was very dependent on Ghana. I think Ghana were really, really poor against the States, and I think they were really, really good against Germany. And I'm not sure it really had much to do with Germany or America in that situation. I just think it was literally down to if Ghana wanted it on the day, and they played far better against Germany. Anyway, that wraps up the review of today's fixtures. Obviously, we do a competition every day. There's DVDs to be won. You know what they are. I've not got them with me, Jack, because I'm downstairs.
It's fine.
But it was Adrian Childs' Too Good, Too Bad DVD, classic. The Rugby World Cup 2003 DVD is on offer if you want that one.
Ryan is sat here getting more and more excited as you name these DVD prizes that we have up for grabs.
There's also Destination Germany.
Wait, I'm getting a copy of each of these, correct?
If your predictions are right, why not?
Yeah, if you predict right. What was the final one? There's another one. I forgot one. Oh, Goal the movie.
Goal the movie. Classic.
Right, so, and to win, you have to predict the scores. You need 3 out of the 4. Nobody won again because Nigeria scored 2, and that messed you all up because you never thought that would happen. So if you get 3 of the 4 fixtures or results predictions right, you get to pick one of those 4 DVDs, and we'll send it to you. I hate to be awkward, Ryan, but you can't win because you live in America, and the postage to America is ridiculous.
Dude, you know what? That's fine, man. There's that. Don't worry about it.
I'm sure you can download it illegally somewhere, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Right. We're now on to the quiz.
The quiz.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
The heralded quiz.
Right. So, for those who don't know the rules, it's 30 seconds on the clock. Jack, you've got that ready?
I am ready.
Right, so you've got 30 seconds, Ryan. Mm-hmm. Your time starts when Jack gives us the countdown.
Right, and we'll start in 3, 2,
let me get my headband.
1,
go! Hang on. Sorry, Jack. False start. He's getting prepared.
He's getting his MLG headband on.
Right.
I need my protein shake. I need a little water. I got the water there. All right, I got the medical kit just in case.
I've got this image of you halfway through just getting the bottle of water and just pouring it on yourself like you're running a marathon.
You're on a treadmill in my eyes. Right, let's go.
Right, Jack. We'll start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Spell USA.
USA.
Correct. How many caps does London Donovan have?
100.
156. Do you think Jürgen Klinsmann would make a good superhero?
Yes.
Incorrect, he wouldn't. Who is Germany's highest capped player? Who is Germany's highest capped player?
What's that?
Who is Germany's most highest capped player?
Highest capped player would have to be Miroslav Klose.
Incorrect. Lothar Matthäus. Will you be my best friend?
Who's my best friend?
Will you be my best friend?
I'll be your best friend, bro. I'll give you my PayPal account, and then we can be best friends as soon as that payment.
Correct.
Can I just say, I don't know how many you got right, but the answer to the first question, can you spell the USA? The answer isn't USA. I guess it is, technically.
What do you mean? Yes, it is USA.
Wait, can you spell USA?
I said, can you spell USA? And you said USA. That counts.
That's just saying it.
I'm not sure how you would answer that question differently.
I don't know.
Anyway, you got...
Unless you spelled out UNITED.
ISATES.
Are we really doing this?
Yeah.
Regardless, that is the only question you got right.
Wait, is that really the only question I got right?
Yeah, Landon Donovan got 156 caps. Not.
That's
not
right.
100.
Yeah, and you. By the way, the Jurgen Klinsmann thing. There's no way he makes a good Seaper.
No.
That was just an impulsive question. To be honest with you, my bladder's acting up right now. I need to pee really badly, so it was like something I needed to answer quickly. Like I'm in this like really rapid answer mode.
Protein shake.
And right, he'd be so passive. He'd let the bad guy go by.
Questions you missed out on is who's your favorite band? You can answer that if you like.
Oh, favorite band? Oh, that's tough. I'm so bad with favorite bands. You give me like a top 5 question. Let me, Pearl Jam.
Okay,
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Incorrect. And the final question was coming back to earlier, which was, are you a fan of Dragons? Which the listeners won't understand. So I think we'll leave it there. Jack, hit us with some social media.
Yeah, guys, if you're not already, follow us on Twitter at ForTheFans Show. You can check us out on YouTube at ForTheFans. We're on iTunes. You can search on the podcast section to find us there. It's a little bit tricky. If you want to get the link directly, you can go to www.forthefanshow.com. It's a webpage. It's basically a portal to all the good stuff you could ever want.
It's a website, is it?
It is.
Oh, thanks for clearing that up.
But it might not be.
Of course, I would like to thank Ryan. Ryan, where can we find you if we want to see what you do?
Oh, if you guys want to find me just on Twitter, it's I hate spelling out. I wish I had something simple like I don't know,
Ryan
Bob.
HD.
I wish that was it's so you can find me if you on Twitter. It's ZwebackHD. YouTube is the same thing. YouTube.com/ what I just said. But I just want to thank you guys first of all. Last of all, I guess, for having me on. I really enjoyed our conversation, and now we're all best friends. That's the best thing. You know that song? What's that song in The Hangover? Like we're the best friends like that you could ever have, or some shit. I don't know.
I think he's drunk.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks. I appreciate for you guys even thinking about having me on. It
was
awesome.
an absolute pleasure, Ryan. It was our pleasure, and it was the pleasure of the listeners, I'm sure. That wraps us up. Obviously, links to Ryan's stuff will be in the description of the YouTube video, as well as on iTunes description. From me, Jack. No, I'm not Jack. What's happened here?
You've stolen my identity.
We got an identity crisis on hand, boys.
I can't believe I'm just. From me, Ben. It's definitely Ben.
And me, Ben. I'm out.
What have I done?
Right, let's just end it there.
Oh man, what have I just done?